I'm Saturday hauling for you guys today, and I'm going to start off with some brushes that I purchased from a few different brands. I mentioned in last week's haul video that I did go ahead and purchase the Goss, the Synthetics brush set, which comes with 4 brushes, and I have used them enough to go ahead and give you my opinion on them now. They are constructed very much like his original brush line. They're very nice, very well made. They feel nice in the hand, have a nice weight to them. All of those characteristics are very similar to his original brush line. The only difference is the bristles of the brushes are a synthetic. And when I purchased these, one of the things that I was hoping for was that the synthetic bristles weren't going to be smooth all the way to the tip. I was hoping that they would have a little bit of kind of texture towards the tip of the brush, because a textured bristle, like when it comes to synthetics, because oftentimes synthetics are so soft, texture on the end is going to allow for that synthetic to pick up product a lot better. That being said, the bristles on these are smooth pretty much to the end. They'll work great for a loose or a soft powder, but if you were to go ahead and try to use like these face brushes, especially in something like a baked jelly texture or a pressed powder that was possibly pressed a little bit more stiff in the pan, you're going to not be able to pick up product very well with brushes that are this soft towards the end, because they just don't grab onto a product like that very easily. For instance, I was using this 25S brush in one of my Tom Ford bronzers, and I just had to keep going into that product and swirling and swirling and swirling to try to get it to pick up on the brush, because this is so soft. And oftentimes if you do that a lot with powders, especially like a baked gelée or depending on the formulation of the product, doing something like that can create hard pan on your products a lot easier. So hard pan is like that thicker glaze that kind of forms over powders. So like you dip back and forth, like for me, I would have skincare on and then, you know, possibly my own skincare oils, and going back and forth, it's kind of putting a little bit of moisture on top of the product like that, because you're swirling trying to get it to pick up. And then sometimes it's just the powder product itself, smoothing it over like that with something so smooth just creates that hard surface. They are very nice synthetic brushes, but they don't have that textured tip that I really like in a synthetic brush. So like I'm comparing it kind of to the bristles on this Real Techniques multitask brush. That's one of the reasons why I love Real Techniques brushes in general, because they're a really soft synthetic. They also have a textured bristle to them. The ends of them have a bit of a texture to them, which is going to grab onto product better. I'm just going to go ahead and show you these brushes. So this is the 25S. Again, I've used it for bronzer. I will say that this shape, I've got this, I think it originally came out as a holiday brush in his original line with a natural bristle. It's really good to pinpoint, kind of contour in the cheekbone, and then if you give a little bit more pressure, so you get the product on the tip and you kind of put it there, and you give a little bit more pressure, and then the brush will blend it out for you as well. And then this next brush is the 24S, which is a thicker type of a fan brush. I'm going to go ahead and compare it to the Sculpt One from Soniaji, which is one of my favorite bronzing brushes. For size comparison, you can see that the Goss one is smaller than the Soniaji brush. And because it's a thinner brush, what I was using, it was kind of for blush, and I'd kind of put it between my highlight and my bronzer. And it worked great for that, but when I tried to use this to, say, pick up something like the Benefit California, which is one of my favorite blushes, it didn't pick it up very well because, again, those bristles are so smooth. And the brush that I probably won't get a lot of use out of is the 27S, which is a pencil brush. It does have a little bit of powder on it. I had used it for kind of like spot concealing, like little blemishes and stuff, which is kind of what I use a little brush like this for. A lot of people like a nice pencil brush for smoking out the lower lash line. Final brush in the range is the 26S, which is a domed, pinched, kind of a blender brush. You can use it on its side to pack on product, but it's also a good one if you wanted to get something through the crease and buff it out as well. This does work very nice. Again, it's smooth all the way to the end, so depending on what the formulation of shadow you're trying to pick up will kind of determine how well this is going to pick up product. These are very well made brushes, just like his natural line of brushes. But that being said, these being a synthetic, bristle brush, I do think that they're quite expensive. Then I was in Walmart the other day and I saw this brush from Milani. It says Expertly Designed Brush Highlighting Blender Brush. And it really looked like the Anastasia Beverly Hills highlighting brush, which I do have. And that brush kind of has its place for a stiffer powdered product because the bristles are kind of scratchy in my opinion, but it does pick up those like a baked jelly highlighter and stuff. It picks that up really well. But this just reminded me of that, and I thought that this would be kind of softer. It's just a cute little highlighting brush. I think it was $7. This one does have a slightly textured bristle. It's a synthetic as well. It's not as textured as a Real Techniques brush, but it is slightly more textured than like those Wayne Goss brushes that I had showed you. So it's called the All Over Blending Brush, and I found it at Walmart. It's got a little pinch to it. It's just a really cute little brush. And then Beautylish came back into stock with the Soniaji Pro I Set and also the individuals. So I knew I had wanted to get a couple more of these, and I think one of them had sold out before I was able to purchase it, but they do have the full set on there. There's one pencil brush in that set that I don't use that often just because I don't use a pencil brush, but I like the blenders and I really love these two that I purchased. I got another one of the Builder Pro and another one of the Worker Pro. So the Builder Pro is slightly smaller and slightly a little bit skinnier, while the Worker Pro is longer and it's a little bit thicker, but they're both pinched brushes. I use the Builder Pro, which is this guy right here, much like I use the Chikuhodo GSN 9. Because it's nice and thin, I can get it through the crease like that. It's kind of the same way that I use that Chikuhodo brush, and I really like it. Super, super soft. They pick up product great. This one is a really good one for precision kind of blending as well. So the top one is the Builder Pro, and the bottom one is the Worker Pro. Just really beautiful brushes from Soniaji. And then also from Milani, they came out with new concealers. So I got the Conceal and Perfect Longwear Concealer in the shade 105 Ivory Rose. It's a little teeny bit too deep for me, but the tone is really pretty. I have got plenty of like lighter concealers that I can kind of brighten it up with if I want to. I have worn it by itself and it still is pretty, but I'd like just a bit more lightness in it. But the concealer itself is, I mean, it's really nice concealer. From the drugstore. I think it was like $8. It's got a doe foot applicator there. It's got a cool undertone, which is what I quite like. I feel like it covered underneath my eyes pretty well, and it also felt comfortable. It didn't like feel super drying or anything like that. So that is the Milani Conceal and Perfect Longwear Concealer in 105 Ivory Rose. And then I'm going to go ahead and swatch it next to another new concealer. This is the E.L.F 12-hour Camo Concealer, and I found this at Ulta. I got the shade Fair Beige. It originally looked too light, and I tried to go a few down, and they all looked really, really warm and yellow toned. And then the next one that looked kind of cool looked really, really dark. I had contemplated getting both of them, but that being said, I'm wearing this today and it covers really well. It blended out really well too, but I kind of feel like my under eyes look a little dry. And then also the concealer did kind of find its way into my little fine lines that are right underneath my lash line, which I don't typically carry concealer that high, so it did migrate into that, even though I set it with my favorite setting powder right now is the Lavender loose powder from Fenty Beauty, the Pro Filt'r. I just love this stuff. So I set this with that, which it has a really strong set, that powder does, and it still kind of migrated into those lines. So I had originally thought I might grab another shade, but I don't think I will now because it does move into the lines, and I feel like it looks a little dry under my eyes too. So this is the shade Fair Beige though. It's got a giant doe foot applicator, kind of like the Tarte Shape Tape. It covers, I will give it that. It does cover very well. See, it covered up that little freckle that I had there. It was only $5 at Ulta, and if you don't have like little fine lines underneath your eyes and possibly a little bit more oily skin type, I think it's worth a try for $5. And then from Ulta online, I saw these Flower Beauty Warrior Glitter Shadows. I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to get off the liquid glitter eyeshadow train. It doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon, but I went ahead and I bought another one, and I got the shade Camo because I don't have a really good green topper shade, and typically that's what I use these for, is tapping them over kind of corresponding eyeshadows. This is really nice. I wish that there was a display in the Ulta store where I could like swatch the other shades in the range, because this is pretty nice. It's got pretty good pigmentation to it. It's got a nice little shine to it. Again, this is from Flower Beauty, and this is the shade Camo WG4. Kind of blend it out a little bit. It's got a lot of pigment in there. And then I always like to browse the Essence section in Ulta. They make one of my favorite liquid eyeliners, and they had some new products that I hadn't seen before. So I got this hashtag Get Heart Cheeky Star, I just get cheeky, blush and highlight palette. There's 1.26 ounces of product in here, which is a lot, but I just thought it looked like a good, affordable alternative from the drugstore. It was $14.99 at Ulta, and you've got kind of all highlighters on the top and then blushes on the bottom. There are, I'd say, kind of 2 satin mattes for blushes, which are these 2 shades, and then these 3 have shimmer. And then for highlighters, these 2 work for me the best, but I can mix a little bit of this gold in with the lightest one to get that to work, and then these 2 are kind of a little bit too dark. But they went on the cheeks nice. The blushes are pigmented. I'm wearing Natural Girl on my cheeks today, and I did put a little bit of this Crystal Crush on the top of my cheekbones along with, I think it was a Fenty highlighter. But you get 10 shades for $14.99 in there, and it's not a bad price. So let's swatch them. Some of these ones are a little bit powdery, like you kind of have to really buff them into the skin because they'll show like particles. The purple one here is kind of the smoothest. You can see they're a little bit drier, but they do provide a shine. You just kind of got to buff them into the cheeks. Now I'll swatch this bronzier shade right there. So those are the highlights on top. I could probably use that Honey or Not shade kind of as a bronzer if I wanted one with shimmer, but that one's pretty crumbly. Which one? And then this last one. Like I said, some of them are a little bit dry and crumbly, but if you buff them into the skin, they're not bad. And I think for as much product and shades that you're getting here, I don't think it's a bad deal for 15 bucks. And then they also had 3 of these 9-pan eyeshadow palettes. I purchased one because I didn't kind of know, so I wanted to feel them out. There's 0.47 ounces of product in here, which is, again, you're getting quite a bit of product for the money. I wore this yesterday paired with a Chantecaille palette that I'm going to show you in a minute. And the shadows are really, really soft, but they're still substantial. They blended out so easy. I almost thought that I was going to like over blend it. The look was really soft that came out of here, but they worked nicely, but they don't have that super rich, intense like pigmentation. And you've got 4 shimmers in here, which is Beige On, Taupe Up, Coffee Talk, and True Me. And then the other 5 shades are mattes. Did I tell you which one this one is called? The Be Beautiful is what this one is called. And I was always interested in their single, like their Freedom System eyeshadows that they had, but I just never knew like which ones to get. I had seen a video when they first came out from Emily Noel, and I was kind of intrigued by it, but then when I was in the store, I was like, but which ones? Just put it together for me. Which is kind of what I feel like these ended up being. Again, they're a softer shadow, but they work nice. If you're into a really soft neutral eye, I think this is not a bad palette from the drugstore, and it was $9.99 at Ulta. So not a terrible price either. And they had, I don't know if I mentioned, but they had 2 other shade versions as well. But this is the one that kind of, I guess, appealed to me the most. And these bottom shades. So, I mean, not bad. 10 bucks. And those are from Essence. Right there. And then also when I was looking at the Milani stuff at Walmart, I saw these new bronzers. It's the Sun-Kissed Silky Matte Bronzing Powder. I got the shade number 2, I think is called Sun-Kissed, but it's the Silky Matte bronzing powder. And this is what they look like. This is the shade 2. So it's the middle one. There was a lighter one and a deeper one. The lighter one looked a little bit too warm for something that I like. This one looked kind of perfect in terms of like the cool tone that it kind of has, but still bronzy. And it does work out. It smells like coconuts too. But I did find that if you're a little bit heavy-handed with this, it could get a little muddy really quickly. So a real nice fluffy brush with a soft all-over dusting. It's a really pretty shade, but I wouldn't concentrate it too hard in one area because it does have a tendency to look a little bit muddy. This is like, I feel like it's a little bit much on my cheeks right now because this is what I'm wearing. So you have to be light-handed with it. Otherwise, I think the tone of it is really, I think it's pretty, but you do have to watch. As you can see, there's a little bit like of a grayish tint in there. So this is the shade number, so you can kind of see there what I mean. So I would use it with a big fluffy brush and not concentrate it too much in one area, but that's the middle shade number 2, Sunkissed from Milani. And then I kept humming about this palette. I swatched it in Ulta a couple times, and there was the 2 shiny shades in here were kind of like, I was gravitating towards them because I love a shiny sparkly eyeshadow. And then I finally caved and I bought it, and it was 25 bucks. And there are 3 versions of this palette, but this is the Lorac Unzipped Elegance eyeshadow palette. So this is the purple one that I got. There is a double-sided synthetic brush inside of here as well. And there's 0.37 ounces of total product in here with 5 shades. The shimmery shades are really pretty. I felt like when I packed them on the lid, they didn't quite have the impact that I was thinking they were going to have. Like, I was kind of comparing them in my mind to something like the Jouer foiled shadows, because in the pan they look so foily, but they weren't quite as foily looking on as like the Jouer ones were. And there's 2 mattes in here, the Untouchable and Timeless. And then Undefiable is a shimmer shade that's the deepest in there. So I ran that through the crease, and when I started to blend it out with this matte shade right here, that shimmer shade started to blend away. Like, I could start to see my skin underneath it, and when I was trying to build it back up again, I couldn't get the shadows to adhere, which is expected. I expect that from the Lorac matte shadows, but not like the shimmers, so I was really surprised that it did that to me. Like, I had gotten the last Lorac Pro palette that they came out with because some of the shades look so pretty, and I was like, just give it a try, maybe the formula's changed, because I don't get along with the Lorac Pro matte shadows at all. They're extremely thin, extremely powdery. I feel like they blend away and they stop building too. I have a hard time with them. And I was hoping for the best with this guy, especially with this shimmer shade, but it was blending away like those mattes were. So I was like, what's really going on here? Not happy about it. Like I said, those 2 really metallic foiled shades, they are pretty, but I was expecting on the eye a little bit more impact than they actually gave. So I don't plan on trying out some Lorac shadows. And these are the Unzipped too, so they're not like the Pro ones, but see, that shade is pretty, but I was expecting more from it on the lid. I think I said that like 5 times. But and this shimmer and this one. Yeah. They swatched decently enough, but they were not pleasant to work with for me. So that's the Lorac Unzipped Elegance eyeshadow palette. And then the Ulta store that I go to recently got kind of a little display for some BH stuff. And I hadn't purchased a BH eyeshadow palette in quite a while, but this one just kind of spoke to me. So I went ahead and purchased it. It's the Sylvia Ghani Beauty and BH Cosmetics eyeshadow palette. Is it an eyeshadow and face, I think. 22 color shadow palette is what they're calling it. 0.95 ounces of total product, or 29 grams in there. I think that the outside packaging is quite pretty. It is a cardboard magnetic packaging. There's a decent sized mirror in there that flips back. And then you have got 20 larger eyeshadows. And then these 2 shades I feel like could be face highlighters, but I used this one as an eyeshadow today on the inner corner. This shade was really chunky and it was kind of hard to smooth it out on my eyelid, so that wasn't that great. But I've used this palette a couple times, and the shadows are nice. This is the palette that I'm wearing on my eyes today. That little bit of purple glimmer that you see on the lid is a liquid eyeshadow. I believe it's the Ulta brand one. And these shadows are pigmented, but they're also a softer type of eyeshadow similar to that Essence palette I was talking about. This has a little bit more pigmentation than the Essence one, but it's not super vivid and vibrant like something like a Colored Rain eyeshadow. But there's a place for that if you're looking for a little bit of color or something like that and you don't want it to be over the top. You know, this is kind of the realm to go to. So let me swatch some of these shades. Again, this is the palette that I'm wearing on my eyes today. And I think I paid $25 for this one. These next ones. And this middle row. I'm wearing, I think, all three of these shades today. Those ones I showed. I love that matte mustard color. This one right here. Got these ones. Oh, I'm gonna run out of room, I bet. And then these ones. Where should I swatch these? And then here are kind of the two highlighty shades. This one is, like I said, again, it's quite chunky. Well, put it right here. That's the BH Cosmetics Sylvia Ghani eyeshadow palette. I go off and on with BH Cosmetics palettes, and sometimes they can be really good and sometimes they can be really not good. I feel like this is a nice one. Then I placed an order with Colourpop, and I got one of the Kathleen Lights X Colourpop pigments in the crab. It looked like, I think it's called like a Zodiac pigment collection, but it looked like one of those pretty duochrome shades that I'm slightly obsessed with. I think this packaging is so cute. And then they like started a site-wide sale like for 20% off maybe 2 days after I placed my order, and then they had the whole pigment set on sale for a really good price, and I was like, dang it. But this here is, it's called the Crab, and it's like a baby blue shifting purple pink pigment. It's not quite, for a pigment, it's not quite as saturated as I kind of would expect it to be, but it's still pretty. It's got like this really pretty shift. It's almost like a see-through, like I can almost see my skin through it. And then because I'm obsessed with Colourpop palettes, I got both of their newest eyeshadow palettes. This one is It's My Pleasure pressed powder shadow palette. And what I love about these palettes too is these are all removable. Colourpop's pressed eyeshadows, I feel, are some of the most inexpensive, best eyeshadows on the market. I think that they're really good, and they're really cheap, affordable eyeshadows. So this palette has got 4 mattes and then 1 matte glitter, I guess. It's got like shimmers in it, that Pretty Cruel shade, and then these other shades are super foily. I know I purchased that bundle of their most recent launched single eyeshadows that came out, and Earthshine was one of my favorite shades in that bundle, and that's in this palette. It's this center shade right here. It's just stunning. Some of these shades are just absolutely gorgeous. Oh, I still kind of have some remnants of that. The Crab. There's the top 3. And then the middle shades. This Earthshine is just stunning. It is a little bit more of a chunkier texture, but it is so pretty. That also has a slight translucency to it. That Earthshine shade does. And then these bottom 3. Ooh, this one feels quite gritty. That color is really stunning too. It's got like a purpley undertone to it. But that is the It's My Pleasure eyeshadow palette from Colourpop. And I also got the Through My Eyes palette, which is the I Love Sarai and Colourpop pressed powder palette. This here has got like it's a cardboard packaging, but it's got like a grippy, almost like that NARS type of feel on the outside. It feels really nice, weighted palette. And then inside of here, you have got 16 eyeshadows in this guy, and each one of these is 0.035 ounces per shade. The It's My Pleasure has slightly more in it at 0.04 ounces, so then this one has got 0.035. But this is a great palette. It doesn't have that matte brow bone highlight, but that's fine. It still has some really pretty eyeshadows in here. You've got Wild Soul, Sandalwood, In a Wink, Euphoric, Divina, Nostalgia, Moody, and Misbehave. Those are all the mattes, and then Canela is a matte with the sparkles sifted through it, and then the rest of them are shimmer shades. Right here. This next row. This is such a pretty color. These guys. Look at how pretty those are in this bottom row. Right here. Look at that. Ain't that something? So that is the Colourpop Through My Eyes and I Love Sarai collab. And then lastly, Neiman Marcus was doing $50 off a $200 purchase, and I had wanted 2 pieces from the most recent Chantecaille collection. They didn't total $200, so I figured it was a prime time to pick up 2 more of the Givenchy Cold Couture waterproof eyeliners in Jade. This is my most worn eyeliner on the waterline. It stays put really well for me, and it's a really comfortable wearing eyeliner, and just, I don't know, something about the shade of this just kind of pops with my green eyes. I do have a different, well, I have this mixed with a Marc Jacobs one on my waterline right now, so it does look a little bit deeper, but I just ran out of the other one. There's like a nib left, like that much left. So I picked up another one, and then this one is gonna hit the empties, which I have a drawer full of empties. Oh my gosh. So I did get 2 more of those, and then these 2 products from Chantecaille were just like speaking to me. I had to have them. So this is the Chantecaille Polar Ice Eye Palette, which looks like that. A lot of their collections and their palettes and stuff like that, they donate a portion of the proceeds from the sales to fund different organizations that help with whether it's global warming or helping animals or something like that. Like, I'll show you the lipstick that I purchased. For every one of those that is bought, they plant a tree. So I think that's a really nice thing that Chantecaille does, but Chantecaille is a very expensive brand, but they make some really luxurious packaging and some nice products. So this is the palette. And I mean, it's got a textured, like, crystal top to it. This here is just, it's just super stunning. And then you've got 9 eyeshadows inside. There's a total of 0.53 ounces of product in here. And I just wasn't sure what to kind of expect with these shades, because Chantecaille is kind of a really, like, sophisticated brand. At least that's how I look at it. So these shades, I wasn't sure just how pigmented or intense they were going to be. They're really smooth eyeshadows though, and they have a really soft prettiness about them. So like this shade right here is that shade that I kind of love, that's like a purple with a slight blue shift to it. But the shades in here aren't going to be too over the top. It's like a sophisticated version of something like Makeup Geek's Blacklight eyeshadow that I love. So if you ever thought that shade was super pretty but you just couldn't wear it, I think that these are versions of those type of shades that are really, really wearable. So you've got these 3 more metallic finishes over here, and then these shades right here are more like a shimmer, and then it kind of coordinates with colors by row. They're a lot softer than I just anticipated them to be. They almost feel like a cream texture. And this is definitely going to be a pairing palette for me. I'll be bringing in other, more than likely, matte eyeshadows when I use this. Like I had used this with that Essence palette yesterday. I used kind of this shade and then these guys down here, and the look turned out super pretty. Because those Essence shadows are a softer eyeshadow as well. Look at how pretty those are. And they're so smooth. So I'm totally happy that I picked that up. Right there. So that's the Chantecaille Polar Ice Eye Palette. So look at it, it's so pretty. And then the lipstick that I got is the Lip Crystal. And the box on this is so cute. I don't want to throw it away. It's got a polar bear on there. And so the shade that I did get is called Citrine, which is the orange one. And look at this packaging. I'm obsessed with the packaging on this. But wait till you see this. Okay, here's the inside, which is like a metal blue. But look at this. It has got like microfine sparkles all the way around it. And I wore this yesterday as well. And it's a very, very metallic color on the lips. It's also one that's not super, super creamy. So it will leave particles of sparkle and like metallic shimmers on your lips. So if you're not into that and you don't like that, you know, kind of leftover, if your lipstick is wearing off, this definitely won't be for you. But it reminded me of that Too Faced metallic lipstick that I had purchased with their 20th anniversary collection. Kind of like that, with that super metallic foiled lip look, but in a tangerine color. And I don't even know if my camera's picking up just how pretty this looks. It was hard to use, but as long as I use like the end of it like that, I'll be able to utilize the sparkles all the way to the bottom if I ever do finish it up. But this is the shade Citrine. And it has a pink shifted duochrome to it. You can kind of see it there. There it looks kind of orange, and then it shifts. There's a bit of a pinkiness to it. It doesn't look as orange on the lips as it does kind of in the tube. But it's just, I'm really obsessed with this lipstick. I think it's great. I actually won't even mind, just so you guys can see, I have got a Becca Sugar lipstick on right now. But let's put it over the top because it'll be fun. Just so you can see some of the shine that it kind of gives. And by itself, if I didn't have that lipstick on already, it would be even more metallic than what it looks like right now. Like really, really shiny. I'm kind of liking that combo. So that's the Chantecaille Lip Crystal in the shade Citrine. So beautiful. And that is everything for my haul today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to wear sunscreen, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.